Okay, perfect. So, Janet, we are live.
Oh,
Woohoo! We are on YouTube. Is that your first time live on YouTube?
this is my first time live on YouTube.
Woohoo!
Thank you for bringing me on here. I'm so excited. So excited
I'm
to
so
see you.
happy. I'm so happy you've accepted my invite to my show called Dear Lenka. So you can tell me anything, and I only bring very special people on my show. So I'm so happy you're here. I bring very successful people and people who are close to my heart. And I just want to welcome Janet Barnett, and I really love your name. Welcome.
Well, I just got lucky there. I just married someone whose last name was Barnett, so that worked out nicely.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you
so
for
exciting.
having me. I miss you.
You're welcome. Tell the audience where you are.
I'm in Los Angeles, California right now on a beautiful, hot, sunny day. Just
I
a
am going to come
typical.
and visit you, just so you know, okay? I've just invited myself.
Please do.
But you're welcome. I'm currently in Slovakia, and you have some ties to Slovakia, right?
I do. My father's family was from Slovakia. Yeah.
Hmm,
And I
amazing.
didn't even realize how close the town he was from was very close to you, right? And I was
Well,
kind of surprised.
Slovakia is a very small country. Like if this is America, then Slovakia is like this. It's really small, but you're always welcome to come here. I think your father's family comes from the east of Slovakia, and I would be so happy to show you because I love my country. And yeah, there are so still I've traveled the whole world, but there are still so many places I haven't seen in Slovakia. So you're welcome. Um, yeah, so Janet, photography, wine, and thrive. That's the name of today's episode. And
Oh, that's a good one.
just to give a bit of a background, why this name? So, Janet is a very successful professional photographer. She owns her own winery. And please help me, what's the name of the area where it is?
It's actually in California in a town called Westlake Village, and the name of the winery is NABU, NABU. It means Napa and Malibu.
Oh, wow, I love that, NABU. Okay, and you also are very successful. I know that you work with some really big names as well. So tell us a little bit. Let's start with your photography. So how long have you been in the business?
Over 30 years.
So
Yeah, I
who
know. It's
can be
shocking,
more
right?
experienced than you? Wow, 30 years. So take us back a little bit, Jeanette. Like how was the business 30 years ago?
Well, it's very different. I mean, just technically, it's very different. There was no digital photography whatsoever. So, I mean, now people can learn photography on at home on their computer and on their phone. Back in the day, we actually had to learn it from an actual human teaching us things like how to process film, how to use the film and the lenses correctly, and then go into a physical darkroom and process our own film and make our own prints. It was all very hands-on. Um, but I think us older photographers who then shifted into digital, I think we're still in a lot of ways better photographers than photographers today, because back in the day, you only had 36 shots on one roll of film. And now you can shoot endlessly, which, I mean, when you have 36 shots, you plan it, you're a little more careful, you're a little more, take a little more time with what you're doing. And I think that's carried over for a lot of us. So now you can shoot. And also, the problem with shooting a lot is then you kind of dig a big hole for yourself when you're editing. Especially you find this in wedding photographers. Now these people shoot thousands and thousands of images, and that gives you thousands of images to edit. So the most I probably used to shoot at a wedding was 600 images max. That was it. That was like 10 rolls of film, 20 rolls of film about. That's what we used to
Wow.
shoot.
I
So you'd be
actually
more careful though. You're a more careful shooter.
Yeah, I actually remember there was also like 12 images and 24 and 36 was like the wow. Like every time we
Yeah,
went on a holiday, our summer holiday, we took the 36 and we were like carefully planning and
that's for the whole
waiting.
holiday, right? And that was for the whole holiday. Those 36 images, and sometimes you'd find on your camera there'd be images from like the entire year, right? There'd be Christmas, Easter, summer vacation, and then at the end of the year, you'd finish the whole film. So,
Yeah. The life was very different, and I remember the excitement. Like we had to wait a week for the photography to be developed, for the photos, and then we were like, I remember I went to pick them up, and then I would open the little package, and I would quickly check like if all of them were very good quality, because like if you open the camera a little bit, they would be destroyed, right, damaged.
Right. You could ruin it.
So that was
but that was kind of fun. The anticipation of seeing them. You're never really sure exactly what you shot until you got the film back. So
yes, like no preview, right?
Right. It was like a lot of, that's why we really had to know how things worked and how lighting worked, because, you had to know going into it, especially if you're being paid to do a job, that this was going to work out. So.
Yeah, and you know what? That time, Janet, I hated having pictures taken. And I remember I had to go and have these pictures taken for my high school graduation. We had like little like a little announcement or greeting or invitation we could give to people with this little tiny photo. And I went, I think, 3 times because the photographer was so terrible and I hated my pictures. And the last one, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go black and white. It might be better. No, I hated them. Like my grandma still has this little invitation on her mantelpiece. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was terrifying, and I really hated having my pictures taken. But so I'm grateful for the digital photography, because I got more comfortable. Like I could see the preview and then like adjust which side of me was better. So
yeah,
there's
a lot of advantages to that for sure. You can make on the go adjustments so much easier. Check, see if your lighting's on point. Check this, all those things so much easier. I won't argue with that. I love digital as well. I haven't used a film camera, to be honest, and I still have some, probably for over 10 years, probably since digital came in.
Wow.
Partly because I don't know where to get the film processed anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to all the labs. They vanished.
Did you have a dark room, or what was it called? Or did you always use someone else's service?
I never had my own dark room. I just used one at whatever school I was at, or you used to be able to rent a dark room, but I don't even know if you can do that anymore. It's so crazy.
I always liked seeing the movies when they were showing the dark room. I was like, I'd love to see that, but that's now past. I'm not
yeah, and that was always funny too, because they always show it going into a red room, and to be honest, that isn't reality. It's like, well, we know that doesn't work. They're developing film in the red light. You have to develop film in total darkness. You cannot be in any light whatsoever.
So that's a little secret you like. That's a little myth you busted, because it was always the detective movies, like the thrillers.
Yes, exactly.
I was like, okay, I don't want to see that. I just want to see how they develop the picture.
Yeah, that's only interesting if you're a photographer. Honestly, it's one of those things that it's like watching paint dry. It's just not really that fascinating unless you're actually doing it yourself.
But what's incredible is that you have seen the past, and now 30 years later, how it's all changed and developed, and you have this great skill and experience that you've learned the manual way, and now you can apply it into digital world, which I think is always a great bonus. So now, if we have people watching who would like to start their own photography business, first, do you recommend it in this time of Corona when there are not so many events happening? And second, how much they would need to invest in the equipment, or can they start with what they have already?
First of all, I think coronavirus or not, people always need images. And wherever you live, depending on whatever your situation is, you may have to make adjustments in terms of how far you can be away from them, or you don't have to shoot people either. There's a million other ways you can be a photographer. You can shoot food, you can shoot cars. That's really where the money is. Alcohol, cigarettes, all kinds of products for catalogs. There's a lot of ways to be in the photography business without even being near a human. But of course, to me, humans are the most interesting thing to shoot. So interesting enough, during the pandemic, I worked pretty steadily and all under very safe conditions. And I think you can start with whatever you have. If what you have is your phone, start there. Start with that, because you get the thrill of seeing it immediately, which is fun. And then usually people do go into digital SLR, which means single lens reflex camera, or some of the new mirrorless cameras, the new Sonys, the new Fujis, and I think Canon has one. As far as investment, I'm not exactly sure what the newer cameras cost. I think realistically, maybe 3,000 US dollars, which I think would be about 2,700 euros, something like that. So, but practice on your phone first. That's available to you, and you can practice your lighting, your composition, your concepts, all that stuff. You can get a lot done before you ever get to the point where you have to buy, some heavy duty equipment. And the main thing is just shoot a lot and look at a lot of other things that you like. Try to maybe emulate them if that motivates you. Whatever gets you excited to go shoot something, go shoot something.
And I love that you mentioned just keep practicing, because in the old days it was harder because you would have had to buy a professional camera. But nowadays it's digital. I know a lot of influencers, they make great images just with using their phones, and even filming on the phones. But maybe also I would like to mention getting feedback, because I know you have a group on Facebook where you give feedback to people when they ask for it, and it's very valuable.
Yeah, it's funny because getting feedback can be a challenge, and giving feedback can be a challenge. There's a lot of younger photographers that don't really understand what it means to get feedback and what it means to critique an image. But when I was in college, we used to bring in our assignments, put it up on a big board. The teacher would look at everything and then critique it. And sometimes the critiques were harsh. Sometimes these guys would pick stuff up and throw it across the room. They were old school maniacs, they would light stuff on fire, all this kind of nonsense. So, but even simple critique, sometimes people have a problem with. So you have to be willing to accept that critique and know that it's going to help you grow as a photographer. I'm not here to tell you your image is bad. I'm here to tell you how to make your image better.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating. And can you maybe mention the top 3 most common mistakes that people make?
I'm going to start with the one that bugs me the most, and this has to do with when people are shooting on their phone. The lenses are dirty. Okay, this little tiny lens gets banged around in your purse or your pocket, and when you take an image and you see it's all blurry and funky, and some people are like, oh, that's cool, it's soft focus. I'm like, no, that's what we call a dirty lens. So clean that. That drives me absolutely insane. It's a dirty lens, and people don't even really think to clean it, so clean that lens. That would be my first one. I would say secondly, terrible lighting, and that can be a challenge. To me, how when you get your hair done and then you get in your car after you've been in the salon, your hair all looks good, and then you take that photo. Honestly, cars have some of the best lighting because it's all around, but it's not direct. So it's extremely flattering. So that's what, you'd call sort of like a beautiful, soft, even light. Open shade is a great place to shoot. Watch out for a light that's coming directly at your face. Obviously, that makes you squint, and that's not very flattering. So, and sometimes if you're really clever, you can manage to make a backlight work for you if you bounce it into a white wall, or if you're in front of a white cardboard or white wall or something. So you got to play around with that, because I think the more even the light is, especially for women, it's usually more flattering. My third one is just sometimes people have a bizarro angle. Their compositions are always really strange. I'm going to shoot my camera way up here, and it's like, no, let's not. Just the best angle to do a selfie from, we'll just deal with selfies because that's usually what people ask about, is sort of at your eye line or just below. Kind of where you are on the camera right now, Lenka, is absolutely perfect. So that's kind of exactly the right angle to be at. You don't want to be too high or too low. You just want to be at your eye line or just slightly below the eye line.
Yeah, I've got a little trick. I've got 2 yoga blocks below my laptop.
There you go. Good for you.
Helps. I was gonna ask you for feedback, so thank you for giving me the feedback. I'm a yoga teacher, so
Perfect.
helps are always handy.
Yes, yes, yes. When in doubt, use your yoga blocks.
Yeah. You know, like I use all sorts of, even for filming my yoga classes, I use like boxes and I set it up in like the corner of the room, so like the angle is perfect. So I kind of, I think I have it in my eye. I didn't take really any courses, but I know there's so much out there. And just one thing, when you mentioned the lens, like all people around me, they must clean the lens before they take a photo of me. Like, and they know I'm obsessed about this.
Thank you. Good.
I show them the difference, especially my mom. Like she would just touch it all the time, and then and put it on the kitchen table. I'm like, oh my god! Like,
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. When you use a old, proper camera, SLR, whatever. People are very careful. They put the lens cap on it and they clean the lens. These phones get such abuse, So you got to clean them.
Yeah, and especially like people touch it, and like the fingerprint is there, and also like what's the first thing they do when I ask them to clean the lens? They do this. I'm like, you cannot use your finger to clean the lens. Like seriously.
No, just a nice clean. If you're wearing a t-shirt, I always just use my bottom of my t-shirt. A nice clean towel is fine.
But you can even see, especially women, we put the cream on our hands, and that's like there, like I can see it.
Yeah, use a clean towel, even a little soft tissue that doesn't have oil in it is perfect. But yeah, whatever you do, clean the dang thing.
I think even when you're cleaning your glasses, like use that kind of tissue. That's perfect.
That's that real soft cloth they give you. And even if you have, like, sometimes when you go to the eye doctor, they give you that special cleaner for your glasses. That's a great cleaner to clean lenses.
Yeah, or even vinegar is good. It polishes.
Be careful with that, because sometimes that can take the finish off the glass. It can be a little stronger. So yeah, be careful with that. Maybe dilute it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Like, with water. Okay. So I was gonna say, because there's so many resources out there, and I mean, people can go and study photography. They can take courses. What is your best advice?
Online courses are really good, and I actually own quite a few myself, and it's great to always refresh what you know or what you think or see a new technique or whatever. There's some great channels for finding classes. If you're primarily interested in portraits, I can highly recommend the Sue Bryce, that's BRYCE education platform, which just has tons. It's like a membership thing, but tons of fantastic content of videos of how to learn how to shoot people. If you want to learn how to shoot all kinds of things, there's another course called Creative Live, and not just photography courses on there, courses on how to do all kinds of graphic design or crafty things. And you can buy a course for like $10 and keep it forever and keep referring back to it. So those are 2 great sources, and all kinds of random YouTube courses that you can find. There's so many on YouTube. I couldn't even know where to start there, but the Creative Live and Sue Bryce Education are both great places to start out.
I'll put links in the description, and I'm happy that you shared those. I was gonna say, are you, because I'm helping people business the digital courses, helping people build the digital courses. Are you thinking of building your own? Is that something in the pipeline for you?
It's one of those things where I keep thinking about it and I can never figure out what exactly kind of course I want to do, but I think next year I'm going to come out with one. So I don't know if it's going to be for photographers or if it's going to be more for people who need photography,
Okay.
So I'll figure it out.
That's a really good point. Like hiring a photographer, like how to hire a good quality photographer. Well, get in my group and then we'll help you figure it out. Like there's a lot of creating.
Yeah, we'll see what people need, like how to pose in front of the camera, how to get your wardrobe together for a photo shoot, all that stuff. So
what's great about like like-minded people being in a group, that they can tell you the pain points. Okay, when I have to take a picture, this, that I don't know how to do it. And that's how you create your course, which is so valuable and so helpful. And before I move on to the wine part, which I'm really excited about, I want to ask a question about editing. Is editing a big part of your business life, or what are the maybe best softwares you might recommend? Tell us a little bit.
Editing is a huge part of what I do, and it's almost like a two-part situation when someone hires me. The first part is the shoot, the second part is the edit of the shoot, and that includes culling the image down to just the best ones that I want to show the client so they can make their selection. I know a lot of people are like, well, I want to see everything. I want to choose from everything. But it just makes the decision-making process more difficult the more images you have to look through. And, if I show you 60 images to make a decision from versus 200, it's going to go a lot quicker if you only have 60. And also, I only want to show my client the best stuff. I don't want to show them the pictures where they don't look so good, or they're blinking, or their head was turned weird. They don't need to see that, because it just makes them feel bad about themselves. It makes them feel like they didn't do a good job. So I only want them to see the ones that look really good, that will go on to the next process after the first edit, which is the actual physical editing of the image itself. And I always recommend Photoshop for that. And that's another thing where take a course. Photoshop is one of the most complicated programs and ever created. It has so much depth and so many things you can do with it. And what I do is probably less than even 1% of what that program's capable of, but that's all I need to know is basic stuff, how to clean up make their eyes whiter, make their teeth a little whiter, do subtle changes in the face. And a lot of times also clients ask kind of ridiculous things like, oh, make sure you make me look 10 years younger or 20 years younger. And it's like, that's not really the point. But one thing I do try to do with all my clients is make their skin look really perfect. And usually when you do that, they automatically look younger. So, but my goal is never to make them look younger. My goal is just to make them look as the best they possibly can. So yeah, editing is a big part of it. And one of the things that happens when people do a lot of selfies is they rely on these filters that, these quick and easy filters that you can pop on. But I think those are, if you're doing an image really for a professional, those are just the worst. I think they look very amateurish, and they make your face look kind of melted and unrealistic. And I think it kind of messes with people's brains when they see all these hyper edited images, and they kind of get this unrealistic idea that that's what I'm supposed to look like. And it's like, no, that's not what anybody's supposed to look like. Stop doing that.
Yeah, I know. And it doesn't really look real anymore. I want to mention your beautiful Instagram. So this is, I don't know if people can see.
Oh, thank you.
Instagram, which I love. I love especially this picture of you. Like, you're rocking it.
Oh, thank you. I love that outfit.
So I recommend everyone to go now and follow or check out Janet's Instagram, which is Janet_Barnett with _T_photography.
Yeah.
And if people want to hire you, where do they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. They can find me on my website, which is also www.janetbarnett.net. Pretty easy. I'm on Facebook as Janet Barnett. So any of those channels, and then you can see some of my work and see if what I do might be a good fit for you.
Amazing, amazing. And lastly, I have so many questions. Did you get featured on any covers of the magazines? Tell us. I think you did.
If I have, it's been a while. I haven't really done magazine work for a long time. Certainly I'm not like the kind of photographer you'd see on Vogue. I wish I was, but that's not really the kind of work I do. I'm more dealing with like direct to consumer kind of work. Like, say you would hire me to shoot a photograph instead of like an art director would hire me. So I can't say I really had any spectacular covers. I wish I had, but maybe in the future.
Well, I'm going to hire you for my wedding.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll come to Europe for
Wait,
that.
Are you getting married? Is there something I'm missing here?
Who knows? Wait for the invitation. And then you could also visit and discover your ancestors.
Oh, yes,
Would
absolutely.
That would be so nice. Okay, moving on to your winery. I love that you have your own vineyard and you're growing grapes and turning it into something so amazing as wine. So tell us a little bit about your winery. I'm so excited.
Well, we have a winery. We don't have our own vineyard. We have what's considered an urban winery here, just north of Los Angeles. And we're actually in a business park, but we have a big, beautiful building. It's 3,000 square feet. And we have live music Friday and Saturday nights. And we have wine tasting on the weekends. And during the pandemic, we had to shut all of that down and just kind of got back into just selling wine and delivering it to people. But now we're open again and we're having a lot of fun with our vans back in there and rocking the place out. It's like really like a nightclub on Friday and Saturday nights. But the wine itself is called NABU. It's NABU. It stands for Napa and Malibu because we get our grapes from Napa Valley and Malibu, California. And I think we're actually about half of our wines are from Napa and half are from Malibu. The stuff from Malibu you won't find anywhere else because it is extremely challenging to make wine out of Malibu. There's just not a lot of product. There's not a lot of growers. It's not really a town that's like geared toward winemaking, whereas Napa Valley, that's all they do. That's the name of the game. It's like, if you're not in the wine business in Napa, I don't know what you're doing up there. So it's actually easier, even though Napa's 700 miles from us, it's actually easier for us to make Napa wine than Malibu wine, which is just down the road. So kind of a challenge. The whole business is a challenge. The whole business is just dealing with permits, dealing with the government, dealing with alcohol regulations, dealing with climate change is a big one, dealing with wildfires and stuff that, I mean, we've lost tons of product due to fire. And the whole thing is, you know, it's a challenge, but it's fun because we love wine. So
I was going to ask, is the climate the most challenging for the Malibu wine?
It's extremely challenging, the climate and the amount of regulations that exist in the area, because it's not really like an agricultural area. It's not an area that really depends on, or quite frankly, really respects agriculture in the way they do in other counties in the state or in other parts of the world. So that's not their first priority, is to make it easy for growers. And then, 3 years ago, we had a giant fire that blew through and burned a lot of vineyards that just are never going to be replanted because they were on people's private property, and people that are not really professional growers, they're just like kind of very wealthy people that had a vineyard, you know, but they weren't really in the wine business. So they weren't really motivated to replant. Yeah. And so a lot of stuff was just lost in that fire. It's never going to come back. And same thing happened in Napa. I mean, they'll replant in Napa because it's like a professional wine community up there, but it's not the same vine. It's not the same thing that happened. They have to start all over again. So,
wow. So does that make Malibu wine quite expensive?
It's not any more expensive than our Napa wine. It just makes it definitely more rare because there's just not a lot of it, quite frankly. So yeah, if you get to taste some good Malibu wine, and ours is quite good, I will say, especially our Malibu Chardonnay, our Malibu Pinot Noir are fantastic. But yeah, it's quite unusual to find people making wine out of Malibu.
I love Pinot Grigio. So do you specialize in white wine?
No, we have all sorts. We have from the lightest Sauvignon Blancs, Pinot Gris, Chardonnays, all the way into the big Cabernets, the big Merlots, the red blends that are very popular right now, and even a port. So we've got the full experience. The only thing we're kind of lacking right now is a sparkling wine. And we did have one, but we sold out of it real quick because we didn't make a lot. We thought, well, we'll see how this works out. And we're going to have to get back into that because people do love, you know, sparkling wines and champagne style wines.
Yeah, so I'm going to order some wine for my wedding.
Please do.
That would be great.
I'll bring over a couple of cases for you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can save like a bottle of some special wine.
Yeah, we'll put a special label on it with your wedding date and everything.
Yeah. So the best time to come to your winery would be Friday or Saturday, right?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday during the day, if you just kind of want a more quiet experience. During the days, it's quiet. During the night, in the evening, it's like you're in a club. It's
Can you
definitely
like walk us a little bit through this experience? Like if I come to your winery, let's say on Sunday, do you also make some food or do you do wine tasting or how would it be?
If you come on a Sunday during the day, you can do what's considered a flight. You can taste a flight of wine, which you can taste 6 curated wines all together. You get a 1 ounce pour of these 6 different wines. It usually starts with the lighter whites, the Pinot Gris or the Sauv Blancs, and goes into the Cabernet. We don't serve food because we're not a restaurant, but you can bring your own charcuterie plate, or you can even order a pizza from down the street and they'll deliver. So yeah, sometimes we do have food trucks there, usually in the evening when we have music. So.
And how big is the place? Like how many people can fit there?
Let's see, Friday we had pretty busy this weekend. We weren't at max capacity. 50 looks like 50 is a good size. If we're at 100, the place is pretty packed. We have a front room, which has the main bar, the stage, and about 12 tables. And then we have a back room, which is a little more quiet. If you don't want to be like in the exact same room with the band, it's a little chill back there. And about 30 or 40 people can fit back there. There's a separate bar back there too.
Yeah, that sounds so great. And on a different note, if somebody is a musician or artist, can they come and like approach you to?
Yeah, usually they send us a video. They send it, either through Facebook or whatever, and we take a good look at all our bands, because I only really want the best acts that I can get. A lot of the real key of doing this is a lot of our bands have a great following, either social media or otherwise, and because they are bringing in a lot of the crowd as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. Do you also get some international artists?
I've had some singers that were from other parts of the world, but we haven't really had like an international band. However, if Main Skin wants to come in and play, I will be more than happy to have them.
Oh, that would be so great. I like that you said that you are just choosing the best out of best, because that's how your business thrives and gets successful. So you kind of giving your secrets away as well.
And that was a learning curve too. When we first were booking music, we weren't quite sure. We're just like, oh, you're in a band? Okay, come play at our place. And they'd be like, oh, well, they're not that great.
I'm just wondering how long you've had your vineyard, your winery, sorry.
We've been in business. Well, we've been making wine since 2012. I know our oldest wine is our 2012 Cabernet, so that would be 10 years.
Wow.
I think the building itself, I think we've had for 8 years now. So
let's say the Cabernet from 2012, how much would be a bottle? I know it's running over $100 a bottle, 100 US. Oh. I'm not quite sure. Also, I don't have a lot of that left. Yeah. I've only got like 10 cases left. Yeah. So, that's the thing about wine is it's actually, if you're like really into the investment part of it, it really does appreciate in value. Yeah. And I will say climate change has a lot to do with it too, because these Cabernets from 10 years ago, some of these vineyards don't exist anymore. A lot of these older wines are from situations that climate-wise that don't exist. So, wine's like kind of an always moving target. Yeah, and I remember when I used to insure homes, and contents, that some people had like pretty great collections, and it was worth a lot of money. So yeah, that is true. We work with a guy who actually designs really beautiful wine cellars for homes, and oh my gosh, the collections people have are unbelievable. Yeah. It's crazy. And so is it possible, like if let's say someone wants to buy a bottle of wine from you, can you also create a nice label for them? Or like, I don't know, is there something like this?
Well, all of our bottles, we don't really use paper labels. We actually silk screen right onto the glass. Yeah, there's a manufacturer up in Napa Valley that does silk screening. So we don't do paper labels. If they wanted a specialty label, they would probably have to order it and give us enough time to create that on a plain bottle. So
Yeah. Have you got a bottle around you somewhere so you can show us, or not really? I forgot to ask you.
oh shoot, I'm gonna have to get up though for a second. Is that okay?
Yeah,
I think I
perfect.
have one. Okay, give me just a second. I'll be right back. I think I have a bottle of Merlot. We were just
Awesome.
drinking it.
I love that. I love how creative Jeanette is, and she's always so happy and so positive, and that's what always inspires me. I'd love to
Okay.
rock it when I'm your age. Like I'm always so inspired.
Okay,
Now,
it's backwards because of the thing, but yeah, that's the bottle. And we're very lucky because my husband's a graphic designer,
wow,
so he designs everything, and he designed the space we're in, like the whole room, the bar, everything. He designs all the posters, and he's just fantastic. So we're lucky because like all of our marketing, we can handle in house. We don't have to go somewhere else and have someone else do that
that's
for us.
incredible. You're like the match made in heaven. I love that. I love
I
how,
know it's kind of great because like if we want to change something on the fly, it's easy for us. You
yeah.
know.
And you know what's beautiful? That you can actually live together and have business together and run it, which can be quite stressful. So, what would be your best advice for couples that have been together for some time and they run business together and can be stressful? What's your best advice? Like, what keeps you guys going?
Sheesh. Uh,
Would be
I don't
maybe,
know. I would say make sure whatever you're doing, you're having fun doing it. That would be the first thing. If you're in like some business that you're not interested in, I don't think you're going to have as good a luck. Um, and make sure you each kind of still have some separation
Mhm.
within the business. Like I'm here working at home because I prefer being quiet at home. My husband tends to work at the studio because all his computers are set up there. And, he talks on the phone a lot and he's really loud and it drives me crazy. I can't be in the same room with him when we're actually doing like day to day work. So I think it's good to have some separation. And then on special projects, we'll kind of like when we work at the winery together, it's different. Or if I'm doing a photo shoot, he'll help me. It's kind of different. So, you just kind of got to know where you need to have some boundaries. You can't be exactly in each other's pocket 24/7 or you probably will kill each other.
Yeah, that's true. I think that part, like especially with the home office and working from home and having businesses, it's so important that you have your own space where you
Yeah.
feel comfortable and you can feel like also creative because there's a lot of creativity
Yeah.
involved. So I think,
Yeah. And I think during the pandemic, a lot of people probably realized, oh, we don't really work that well together in the same space. But at least we were lucky because we always had our studio space and kind of it wasn't that different for us, really. He went to the studio every day anyway.
yeah, I have
But
a
my
question.
daughter was home for school, but she was in her room. I mean, we all kind of figured it out. So
That's awesome. I have one of my last questions because we're going to wrap up. We've kind of run out of time already, but I love talking to you, Janet. Um, I wanted to know, like, how do you deal with differences of opinions, or do you have the same kind of eye for things, or do you clash sometimes? How do you deal with that part?
oh, within my relationship, you mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes we just have a fight. I mean, that's just what happens.
Is it
Um,
like to reflect, like reconsider, right? What might be.
yeah. So sometimes we just have a fight about something, and sometimes, I'll say, "Why don't we try it this way?" And he'll say, "No, I want to do it this way." And I'll say, "Well, okay," and I'll let him have that one maybe. But it depends how important it is. How much of a pushback I want to do. Like he's got an idea for a new thing right now, and there was one detail about it that I thought why is he going that direction? I'm going to see if he wants to go in this other direction, if I can enroll him in that idea, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, it's all about enrolling somebody in what you want them to do, right? And then sometimes what their idea is actually better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just need
you know,
to admit it.
yeah. Sometimes you have to think about it a little bit and go, yeah, I guess that probably is the correct way to go.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I have so many questions, Janet, but I'm gonna leave them for our next time when we meet on our show again, on my show. And thank you so much for coming today. I always love hearing you and your stories and your advice from your life. You've got like over 30 years of experience, which is incredible. So thank you so much for being so generous and sharing it with the world.
Thanks for having me, Linka. I'm sorry, I'm starting to have a cough now, so.
No worries.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon, babe.
Yeah, I will see you soon. Have a nice day.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye.